I have a terrible story. This is so bad, but I'm going to tell you it. So I was doing this deal. It was going to be a really big deal for me. It was the first large deal I ever did. At least I thought was large. And I was making just shy of like 400,000 on this, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. I grew up super poor. Like I mean, to me, I was like, I've made it. I did it. I won. It's over. And so I actually, as an idiot, I said, please send me a check. Why? Because I wanted to hold on to the check. I wanted to have that. Because to me that was life changing.
Hey guys, KP here. I've got a very special guest for you today, Garth Ward, who's been doing this for a long time, an amazing real estate broker that has switched markets, actually transitioned from the West Coast all the way to I don't know if you'd call it the Rust Belt, but the middle of the country. We can get into that a little bit in today's episode. He's also a coach and mentor of mine because I wanted to get more information on how to create great short form content. I know he's got an amazing Instagram following and is all over social media. This is going to be a really cool episode today. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. And before we jump in, Garth, why don't you give everybody a little background on who it is you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah. Okay. That's a multifaceted question on what I do today, but who I am. I've been in the real estate business for about 12 years now. I started as soon as I could. As soon as I could save up enough money to quit my 5 minimum wage jobs, I did, and I jumped all into real estate when I was barely 19 years old. And today, I'm proud to say I've closed over $1 billion worth of real estate in that time. I've worked everything from a $10,000 deal to a $21.7 million transaction. I've worked with new development, luxury, celebrity clientele, commercial property and leasing, you name it. I've kind of ran the gambit of this business. About 5 years into the business, I created my own brokerage. I built that from the ground up as an independently held firm, and I built that to 4 offices and over 130 agents in a 4 year span of time. I then, realized I wanted to expand at a more rapid pace than a brick and mortar structure could operate with. And I ultimately merged my brokerage into EXP because, well, I didn't like dealing with the compliance aspect. I like dealing with the training and the coaching aspects of the growth side of this business. So, and at this point today, I work with agents on a one on one basis and a community basis and through my organization. So I spend most of my days helping agents figure out how to grow their businesses and how to scale them, whether it be I need my first deal or I'm already closing 50 deals a year. How do I get to 100? Or I'm trying to grow a team. How do I grow it? Every single piece of that, I walk agents through every step by step. Alongside that, like you said, I did build my entire business in Washington State, and I decided after I did my merger of my brokerage to move out to Tennessee, and I came out here and I did after some time, because I spend most of my time doing trainings and helping and coaching and stuff like that. I decided that agents kept telling me the same thing over and over again. The market's hard right now. The interest rates are high. There's not enough inventory. It's hard for me to get business, and et cetera, et cetera. And I kept thinking to myself, just follow the roadmap. There's a proven roadmap that I've done and helped hundreds of agents do to get success in this business. So just follow it. But agents would keep giving me the same answers. Well, sure, you think that you've done business, you've done so much business, you have referrals and you have all this stuff. And I said, well, I thought to myself, I said, well, if I am in a new market in a place where I don't have any friends, no family, no referrals, no network, and I've never sold a deal, I have a unicorn opportunity to come out and rebuild a business from complete scratch to prove that the roadmap works all over again. And so almost 5 months ago, I started doing sales again in a brand new market. And in that time, I've closed well over 20 transactions. Currently, I'm pending on several. I have 3 that are active on the market. I have 2 more that are coming to the market. So within a 6 or so month period of time, I was able to build I think by anybody's metric, a top producers level of production from a complete standstill all over again in a completely new market center where effectively I was new. And that's because I followed a specific regimen of step-by-step actions that create positive results in the business.
That's great. Yeah, I think that you and I are both on the same page when it comes to processes, procedures. I like to make sure that I document everything so that I don't repeat any of those past mistakes that everybody makes when they get into real estate, and you learn from them. You always are trying to make yourself better one step at a time. And it's great that you actually walk the walk. I mean, you had the great business in Washington State, then you've transformed that into now being in Tennessee. And I stepped away from real estate commission based for probably 5 years, ever since the pandemic or so. My wife has been the commission based person. She's been helping the buyers, the sellers, the people that need to transact in San Diego while I was away. But now getting back into this business, it's so much fun because you get to work with families that need your help. You need to get to you get to show off some of the expertise that you've learned over the years. And it's all those little nuances that people take for granted that you just think in the back of your mind, yeah, I remember that. I had a transaction where that went wrong or sideways or opposite of what I was thinking, and we ended up actually still closing on it, and it worked out in the end. But a lot of times people will panic, because in real estate transactions, guys, like something always goes wrong, and it's usually in the very last day. When you're getting to the closing table and you're almost there, and you could sense that the closing's going to happen, the transaction's going to complete itself, and things are going to take shape. Then all of a sudden something happens, and usually you hear it from the closing agent. I've never seen that happen before. Why don't you go through like a little bit of like what you've experienced in the past and some of the craziness that goes on in real estate?
It's funny that you asked that. So I in these last almost 5 months with these deals, I have not had a single one of them operate as a smooth, simple transaction. I've had sellers die. I have had sellers say that I almost killed them by giving them basic news about the contract. I have had sellers sell me a deal that was already sold. I've had contingencies fall apart last second. I've had clients who don't want to sell their house anymore after we're supposed to close and they won't sign the final documents. I've had, I mean, if you can think of it happening in these last 5 months, I have had it happen, and I'm not even joking. Like when I say that, I've been in this business for 12 years. I've worked on thousands of transactions. These last 5 months have been, with these specific deals, the most complicated, randomly nuanced transactions I have ever seen in my entire life. And the thing that you have to do going into each one of these random occurrences is simple. Remind yourself of two simple things. If both are true, it's okay. If you have a seller that wants to sell and you have a buyer that wants to buy, it's okay. It can be figured out. The hurdle can be overcame. And the best way to address any large or small issue is to keep a level head by way of the real estate agent, because that's part of our job. Our job is to be a step down transformer. If you're familiar with new development, what step down transformers do is they're the big old green boxes inside of your development. And most people use them to sit on it, and it's been depicted in a lot of cartoons and stuff like that. But what those actually do is they actually get the power from the utility company, and it's way too, like, if that power went directly to the house would basically explode. So that doesn't happen. The electricity gets sent to these step down transformers, and it spins around and around and around and around, and it creates a low enough voltage or wattage to then be sent into the individual houses and not blow up the house.
Right.
Our job is to take the craziness, have it spin around and around and around inside of us, and then spit out what's going to be calming and effective as a solution. That's our job. And so, regardless of what any of these craziness or these crazy things happen in your career, you just need to keep a level head. As long as those two things are okay, you will have a successful transaction. And the reason you might not is because you do not keep a level head. If you don't keep a level head, it could very well fall apart, and it could be your fault. And you would be 100% to blame for it.
Garth, you're 100% right on that, because I think we've all gone on transactions, gotten into transactions where there's been the drama queen or king on the other side of the transaction, where every little tiny detail is the largest problem on the face of the planet. Nothing else matters except that little tiny nuanced whatever it is. It could be that a door doesn't latch correctly, or that there's a faucet's leaking, or something that just happens that's typical in any single we're dealing with homes, we're dealing with real estate here, guys. This is not, it's not rocket science, but there's always going to be that person that makes a mountain out of a molehill. And our job, just like Garth was saying, is to make sure that we all keep a level head. If you've got a seller who wants to sell, you got somebody who wants to sell their home, and you've got a buyer who loves that home, who wants to buy it, who knows there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues with any house. It doesn't matter if it's a new build or if it's been there for 50 years or 100 years. There's always going to be an issue with the house. As long as you've got two people that agree, they're going to complete that transaction. And it doesn't matter if I'm the best real estate broker in the world or I'm the worst. Well, if I'm the worst, I might cause it to, go sideways. But if I'm going to be able to help it transact, I want to just open those lines of communication and say, hey, here's what our client really wants to get done. Here's how we can overcome this obstacle. Here's what we can do to make this happen. We want to get out of the way. I think, Garth, you can probably attest to this. The best real estate professionals out there, you never hear about them. You don't know who they are because they're making everything so easy for both sides to complete that there's never that drama that's like, oh my gosh, this person did this or that person. No, it's like they close. The deals just close. If we get out of the way, they have a tendency to close themselves, guys. We just got to be that level-headed, that person who's an advisor, a consultant that just really gives them the information, tells them what we would do if it was our house, if it was if we were buying it, and then just lets the people make their own determination and hopefully get that deal closed, which is what we're all here to do, right, Garth?
Yeah, I mean that is what we're here to do. And the thing is just like you were saying, if like we're brokers, right? And I think people forget that. Yes, we represent our client, but we also represent the greater interest of the deal. Our job is to facilitate the deal. And the best way I've found to do this is to have a process for your entire system for sellers and for buyers. I actually, with one of my one-on-one coaching clients, because I have a lot of those as well, just went through a 30-point list of exactly what a person should do right before and during the entire listing process. And I'm talking granular, like do these forms. Then after you do these forms, you schedule this. Then after you schedule this, you get the key box ready to get the key. And then you put the key box in the thing. And then you put this, and then you deal with the flyer design. Then you deal with but it's all dialed in. Not only is it specific so that nothing falls through the cracks, it's put together in a way that saves a lot of time. Because I know agents that will be absolutely overwhelmed if I said, here's 3 listings. If I told you as an agent and you're a newer agent, I said, here's 3 listings, go service them, you would freak out. Honestly, you would not know what to do. You would be running around with your head cut off and you wouldn't be able to service them properly because there probably isn't a specific system and a set process to what you do and how you do it. When I work with a seller, there's a very specific and regimented process that I take them through that allows me to not only retain a lot of my time, that allows me to scale bigger and bigger as a business owner, but it also makes it easier for them to track because I have pre-laid out the expectations of the way that the transaction is going to flow. So laying out expectations alongside a process not only will make the transaction easier for you as an agent, it will make it more likely that you're chosen as an agent. And this is what's absolutely mind-boggling to me. The average agent, and when I say average, I mean over 90% of agents do not have a process at all. That's why if you ask them what real estate is like, they will say it's a roller coaster, not just for the individual deals, but because they don't have enough business. They're like, my income goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down. Well, that's because they don't have a process to prospecting either. If you had a process to everything, and you could say, I have a process for my marketing, my advertising, my launch plan, my every single aspect of this, alongside the fact that you get me as a negotiator and a person that will help you through the contracts and will help you through the procedural aspects of things, that drastically is in contrast from the agents that you're competing against. That's why in a lot of these cases, even in a brand new market center, without having ever done deals, I was able to win record-breaking listings against over 20 agents that have been in this market, some of them for over 20 years. because I had a specific process, a specific plan, a specific path on how I go about it for every single aspect of the deal. And yes, it takes you time to dial it in, to articulate it, to set it up, but ultimately it will save you time, it will get you more business, it will win you more clients, and it will ultimately make you a better professional, more likely to be able to even charge more in compensation because you can better articulate that value.
That's perfect. I think that you set that out exactly right. If you missed that, guys, I mean, basically, you can document everything that you do. The reason that people don't do it is usually because they're lazy, or they just they always think like, oh, I can get to it tomorrow. Whereas if you documented and did everything up front, like Garth does, you've got a roadmap, you've got the stepping stones, you've got the 30 points that you know that your team and you need to take care of every single time in order to make sure that everything happens with that attention to detail that that seller's looking for you to do. The seller doesn't want to be telling you what to do. They want to know that it's already been taken care of. Mr. Seller, here's my 30-point plan. Here's everything that I'm going to be doing for you. This is going to happen the first day, the first week, the first month, and then all the way through closing, all the way until they've got that deposit into their account. When that $500,000 or $500 million check shows up, or wire, hopefully, I still know that there's agents out there that get checks, which bugs me to all kingdom come. Is that like I've had brokerages, and I've had, escrow companies send me checks in the mail, and I'm like, here are our wiring instructions, right? I've actually had them notarized because I had so many closing companies that would send me checks that I was just like, what do you need in order to wire it to me? We need it notarized that you're the broker of the office. So I went to the notary, I paid the $20, I got my wiring instructions notarized. So I send them out to every single closing office. And then I tell my clients, hey, you don't want to get a cashier's check in the mail, do you? Because even if it's a cashier's check, you're going to have to take it to the bank. They're probably going to put a hold on it, especially if it's over $100,000. You're probably not going to see your money for a week. Why don't you just have them wire it right into you? Oh, I can do that? Yeah. Let me go take that care of that at the notary. We'll take it to the closing office. But if you don't know that ahead of time, if you don't have that on your checkpoint, that's not a part of your plan, then you're SOL at the end of the day, right? I mean, Garth, these are things that you and I have learned over years of that, trial and error of making sure that we don't make the same mistake twice. That agents, though, out there are continually making that mistake over and over and over again, and getting those checks in the mail, spending a day driving to the bank, spending another week waiting for their money. It's just, why did people do this to themselves, right?
You know, I have a terrible story. This is so bad, but I'm going to tell you it. So I was doing this deal. It was going to be a really big deal for me. It was the first large deal I ever did. At least I thought was large. And I was making just shy of like 400,000 on this, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. I grew up super poor. Like I mean, to me, I was like, I've made it. I did it. I won. It's over. And so I actually, as an idiot, I said, please send me a check. Why?
Oh,
Because I wanted
geez.
to hold on to the check. I wanted to have that. Because to me that was life changing. And so what I didn't realize though is that when I went to deposit that check that was split, I realized that it was like they weren't going to give me the money for like a month. like
Wow.
like they're like, you'll have like, it was like almost 400,000 or something, and it was like, we'll give you like $30,000 today, and we'll give you like another $80,000 in a few days, and another $100,000 next week, and another $100,000 the week after, and then the whole amount in like 24 days or something like that. I was like, what are we talking
What?
about? Like, it's right here.
It's my money.
And I want it now. JG Wentworth. I'm kidding. But no, seriously, like, it's very important, in these little details that a lot of people would say are maybe ancillary, make a really large difference to our sellers, and ultimately can make a large difference on whether we get given a referral or not. Because those are the last taste in somebody's mouth of a transaction. And so
Right.
that's why I take a lot of care and detail into a lot of the specific aspects of transactions that agents don't even realize necessarily that are even happening. And I want to make sure that they're all taken care of, so that I'm fighting hurdles before they exist. And that makes it feel like I do less, which is
Yeah.
ideal. But I lay that expectation and the groundwork of that in the original consultation that I'm having with clients, so that they understand if there's no hurdles, that's because I've already freaking thrown them to the side. I've already dealt with them. That's why. Like there is hurdles. I'm just dealing with them and not even letting you know because you're already stressed. You're already going through a transition. You're already moving. You're packing. You're doing so many things. You don't need all that extra. I'm the step down transformer. I don't
Yep.
bring that up to them. That's a convoluted analogy unless you're in the business. But you guys get my point.
Definitely. And it's good to put that out there is to let people know that when you're working with the right professional, it becomes an easy process. If you're working with the wrong person, it's just a slog, right? It's like an uphill climb. You've got to do so much extra work. There's so many different things that go into real estate. Plus that you never know what you're getting at the end of the day or when you're getting it. And one of the things that I always like to do is set those expectations of, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's when their contingency period's over. Here's when their loan contingency's up. Here's when their appraisal is completed. Here's everything's clear to close. Here's our final net proceeds sheet. Does everything look good to you? Because, once we get to that closing table, it's pretty much too late. We want to know ahead of time, here's what you're expecting to get. You're expecting to get a payout of $1.6 million. Does this look right? And 82 cents, right? Because you don't want it to be 81 cents at the end of the day. And that person go like, where's my extra penny? But people's mindset, their mentality is like, okay, I want to know that, we're on the same page and everything's correct here, because even at that closing table, a lot of times there'll be a pad, right? And most agents and brokers don't know that there's a pad, and it might be anywhere from a couple $100 to a couple $100,000. It all depends on the size of the transaction and all those variables that escrow and the closer have to put aside just in case they have to pay taxes or there's an insurance claim or something else that needs to go on. And when the seller's expectation, when that property owner's expectation is, oh, okay, this is where it's going. It's going to be here in escrow for 30 days. And then I'm going to get another check for $450,000 at the end of that time. That's fine. Those expectations are there. But when they get a check that's way less than they thought they were because there's some weird, discrepancy that they weren't aware of and the agent didn't tell them about it, that's a problem. And, our goal, yours and mine, is to make sure that, okay, we've already taken care of that for you. It's not a problem. It's easy. This is the way we're going to deal it. And the best agents, like we were talking about earlier, and the best brokers that are out there, make the process seamless to the point where, okay, I didn't even know what KP did, but the transaction just closed and I got my proceeds deposit wired directly into my bank account. I was expecting to have to go to the bank and do all this stuff. No, all my money's already there. In fact, the closing documents didn't even get mailed to me. They got sent to me via electronic transfer, where now I've got them on file and I can, send them to my CPA, and they've got all my numbers laid out and they've got the spreadsheet there with my net balances. So it's going to go directly into my tax form at the end of the year. Those are the extra things that Garth was talking about, so that when you do get to that last day of closing, the seller's just overwhelmed. Like, hey, this is great. Let me tell my neighbor, who's selling down the street, how amazing a job Garth did for me. I didn't even have to worry about anything. That's what we all want as real estate professionals, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, and I've not always been perfect. I haven't. I've messed things up, and not necessarily even that I messed up. It's because I didn't ask all of maybe the pertinent questions. Although, how do you expect some of the things that come from left field? I'll give you an example. I had a deal where I closed it, and we were like right all the way to the end of the closing, and we were just about to sign the paperwork, and the seller's sitting there and he's signing, and he goes, "Title saying that I have to withhold 20% of all of the funds that I'm getting."
Wow.
And he was making approximately $150,000. So we were talking about, I don't know what it was, about 30 grand, something like that. And he's like, escrow saying that I have to withhold $30,000 and I'm not able to get it. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Let me find out. And I found out he wasn't an American.
Oh yeah, FERPTA.
And I go, you never told me you weren't an American. And he goes, oh, well, no, I'm not. I'm Canadian. And I go, well, there's nothing I can do now because it's in all of our forms and our contracts that you've acknowledged that you're going to do all of these things for the tax withholdings. There's nothing I can do short of you like filing for an amendment and like going through a specific
Mm-hmm.
process to get some of that back, which you could probably do, but there's nothing I can do now. And so,
Yes.
there's some things like that that will kind of take us from left field. But at this point, I didn't even, I still have not implemented asking if people are legal citizens, because at the same time, I don't want to be caught in a discrimination issue.
Yep.
Um, and so it's one of those things where we can't always defend against every little eventuality, but
Right.
we can do our best. And if we can get rid of most hurdles most of the time, that's about the best we can do. Like I'll give you another example of another time I messed up. I like telling people when I mess up because too many people say I do good. And again, this wasn't my fault, right? But
Right.
people lay it on me anyway, right? And so I had a transaction. Older lady, never closed a house before in her life. She's in her 60s. She was like, I want to buy a house. I'm tired of this rental. Okay, great. So I take her through my process. I have a very specific process I take buyers through. We end up finding the property that she wants the first time we go out on tour. She writes an offer. I negotiate it to great effect. By the way, I got it well under budget, all closing costs paid for, brokerage costs paid for, and it ended up appraising, I think, well over almost 10% above what we bought it for.
Nice.
We have an inspection, and when we go to the inspection, I always say the same thing, and it's I parrot it every single time. I say, by the way, I'm not a licensed inspector. This is the one time you're never going to hear me say a word, because I'm not licensed to. So listen to the inspector. I'm just going to be here. I'm going to be quiet as a church mouse. When we get the report, we'll go through that, and we'll just see what makes sense to maybe ask for, or if we ask for anything. Sound good? She says, sure. Then I say, okay, sounds good. And then I'm sitting outside on the steps, basically just waiting for it to get done. Because guess what? I'm not going to be involved. I'm not licensed to. So then we come time. We get the report back. We see there's in total at the house, there are 20 issues. 20.
Wow.
And of those 20, like 10 of them matter. Like really. I ended up getting the seller to agree to 14 things to change and update and to repair. All again, hooray for us. Then I negotiate, and I have to basically do the seller's job, because the seller is this listing broker and incompetent, doesn't know how to do forms, doesn't know how to sign things. So I'm doing the listing side's job, even though it's the owner of the property. And then we close the deal. Everybody's happy initially. Then we find out there's a problem. The AC breaks. Sorry, the furnace. The furnace breaks like within the first 2 days. Then right after the furnace breaks, we find out there's a plumbing problem. And you can't get water. Water return's broken, and there's a side sewer issue. And so I get blown up for a good month, back and forth with this buyer at this point, who's very upset about what happened. And I have to basically just say, unfortunately, the furnace worked when it was inspected. It broke. That sucks, but that's what happened. As far as the plumbing and the other stuff, that also sucks. That wasn't in our report. I can't do anything about that. You could talk to the inspector about it. I think ultimately there was a bit of a negotiation, and the inspector paid for some of that repair because maybe they should have caught some of it. But there was a whole back and forth about that. And it ended up taking quite a bit of time and a lot of mental energy, because I am a person that cares a lot about my clients, but ultimately I cannot set a precedent that I'm responsible for things that I'm not responsible for. And that's a hard aspect of this business sometimes. But ultimately I think it's better now. But everybody has these issues. Everybody will encounter issues that happen, unfortunately, and that's just a part of dealing with basically a living, breathing organism of what a home is. That's just part of it. And I wish all houses were perfect, but even new construction houses aren't perfect, and that's just what it
You
is.
you are preaching to the choir there. I mean, every single property that you ever are going to buy or sell is going to have issues with it. That, I mean, we know that for sure. The one thing that I did want to bring up is that home warranties that we typically get, we definitely recommend them for everybody, is going to save you if something like that comes up, typically in the first year. So that may be a way out of not having to have a huge bill. And, we can get the sellers to pay for those ahead of time. If you've got a great buyer's representation, you're going to get a lot of these things that Garth was talking about taken care of for you. So, you're going to get that inspection report back, and the inspection report's only as good as the inspector. They might be having a bad day. They might miss something. It happens all the time. We see it. But as long as you've got a home warranty that covers those major mechanical issues, your HVAC, your heating, ventilation, air conditioning, your plumbing, plumbing, your roof, the big things that are going to be those high ticket items, that'll save you from those 10, 15, $20,000 bills that you weren't expecting, especially right after buying a property. You want to make sure that you do take into account all of those little things, but when you've got somebody on your side who's advising you and who's taking you through the process of buying the property and letting you know, hey, you know what, there's going to be things that come up. There's going to be things that we didn't know about. It happens with every single transaction, but we're going to try to mitigate and try to control as much as we possibly can as real estate professionals so that you get to take advantage of our experience and our expertise, because this isn't our first rodeo. We went through this thousands of times in the past, and that we're here for you. We're here to make sure that your experience is as good as it possibly can be. With that being said, Sean and I talked a little bit about referrals and how we love getting referrals from other agents outside of our area, from people out in the country that we deal with. I know Garth has a big following at eXp Realty. I love getting referrals. I've gotten them. I give them to my wife now, but now I'm going to be handling a lot more of them when they come into San Diego. It's so much fun for you guys out there that are real estate professionals. It doesn't matter if it's in Paris, France, or if it's in next door in Los Angeles. I love it. And I love being able to tell people about the experience that you and I both share, Garth, because we can help those people that are coming into our area make those buying decisions and let them know, like, hey, in this area, you might want to watch out for this. In this area, you might want to take a look at that. But then the person who's referring us the business knows that their client's getting taken care of, and they're getting that extra warm, fuzzy feeling of, hey, KP's really taking care of my client for me, so I'm going to get more referrals in my area because look how good they just took care of John and Mary Smith for me. Hey, how much do you love referrals, and how would somebody go about referring you a client in your area?
Yeah. Okay. I love working with referrals. I actually do them all the time. I get them from all over the country. I'm already getting them in my market. Because I work the Memphis and Nashville market centers. At this point, I do technically work Washington State as well on the West Coast. Um, and so if anybody has anything in those areas, you can definitely send them over to me. I'd be happy to work with them, but not just work with them, keep you informed throughout the entirety of the process. I actually just had one that I just closed in the Nashville area. And an agent reached out to me, said, hey, I heard you were an amazing agent and I wanted to send these clients to you. And it was a very specific case. It was one of those like divorce cases, and with one of the spouses that hates the other spouse, but they're working it out, but don't even want to talk. So you have to be the intermediary the whole time. It was one of those. And throughout the entirety of the process, kept the other agent informed. I kept them informed. I worked with the person that was living in that house that didn't even want to show the property, and they didn't want to let me do marketing, and they didn't. It was a whole thing. But ultimately, we got it closed. We got everybody happy. And I always make sure to over communicate where we're at in the process and what the situation is for all of the agents referring me business. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you have a potential client coming in any of those areas, send me a text message or give me a call to my direct line. That's 253-737-8018. Or you can just look up Garth Ward on Google, Instagram, anywhere. You're going to find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
I'll put Garth's information to all in the description down below after this video so that you can refer to it. Garth has been a great mentor to me and Sean, who I just did another live interview with, which you'll hear here shortly. And they've been really helpful in guiding me through the short form media process. I love this long form, interviews. They're so much fun because then we can get out the true nuts and bolts, what it is that we know, how it is that we do it. You guys get a chance to meet us. You guys get a chance to see if you like us, if you want to deal with us, if we're good people or we're not. And this is the only way a lot of us will ever meet each other is via social media. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure that you know who we are. We know who you are. We only want to deal with the best that are out there. I also too want to let you know that we're going to be doing a lot more interviews, a lot more masterminding, a lot more really cool things along the way. If you're interested in jumping on a podcast with me or Garth or Sean or any of us that come on this channel, be happy to do that. Put a comment down below or just shoot me a DM anytime. So it's so cool to mastermind with amazing people all over the world. With that being said, Garth, we're getting on time here. I want to finish up and be respectful of your time. Any final comments, concerns, things that you'd like to share with the audience?
I'll leave it at this, since this is the first time I'm hopping on here. If you're an agent that's listening to this channel, make sure that you don't just consume training. And this is something that I love to harp on. Yes, definitely keep hopping onto this channel, keep listening to us talk because that's great and I love our voice. I'm kidding. But what I do suggest is make sure that you are implementing, because done is better than perfect. I do not care. Knowledge is not power. And I think that's a really, really strong thing to remember. In this business, execution is power, not knowledge. You can be the most knowledgeable agent in the world, and I know some of them, and they do almost no business. And there are agents that are, quite frankly, incompetent and do a lot of business because they're executing. So what I want you guys to all remember is, as much as I think it's an amazing thing that you're here and you're listening and you're trying to train and you're trying to grow, you need to go into your daily schedule and make sure that you have time to execute. And you have to do that execution with the understanding that that execution will result in positive growth in your business. If you don't go into it with that understanding, you won't see that positive growth. I'll leave it there.
Very, very well said. We're all trying to get a little bit better every day, make ourselves just 1% better than we were yesterday, and execute at the highest level possible. That's why, again, it's great to mastermind, it's great to mentor, it's great to be around like-minded people that just share your values and your beliefs and your knowledge, and everybody wants to grow. At least the people that do in this business is the people that we want to hang out with. We want to, enjoy their company. We want to learn from them. We want to get better. And, we just share that with our clients too. So if you're a buyer or seller out there in San Diego or in Memphis, Nashville area, just let us know. We're always here to help. We're always here to answer questions. And, we're not going to, dissuade you from answering any question that you possibly got. So just send us anything that you need and we'll take care of all of your real estate needs. I appreciate you, Garth, for jumping on with me. Again, guys, if you're new here, make sure that you've hit that like button. I mean, Garth dropped some amazing knowledge bombs for you today. Hit that subscribe and that bell notification, and we'll see you on the next video.